So getting back to pitch, we talked a minute ago about how you can start on middle C and walk up the white keys of the keyboard, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you've just played a C major scale. Now, each of those notes is called a scale degree. In other words, you start on the first degree, the second degree, the third degree, etc., etc. What makes a major scale is this pattern of what's called whole steps and half steps. Look at this. Between 1 and 2, do you see where there's a black key in between? That's called a whole step between 1 and 2 because there's a black key in between. Now look at 3 and 4. 3 and 4 doesn't have a black key in between, so that's called a half step. So basically a major scale is defined by this particular pattern of whole steps and half steps. And the intervals are, in other words, this is an interval of a second, this is an interval of a third, this is an interval of a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and we already talked about 1 to 8 is the interval of an octave. Now bear in mind, you can start a major scale on any key, any of the 12 notes. But if you start any place other than C, you're going to have to use some of these black keys in order to keep that structure of major scale, the whole step and half step pattern that makes the major scale. That's why we always work in the key of C, because it's very easy to pick out the scale tones from the non-scale tones. Now, when you start to bring in the black keys, you have to know two other terms, the terms sharp and flat. The black keys actually don't have names of their own, they borrow the name of their neighbor. So here's a C note, this is our middle C. The black key that's just above it is called C sharp. Another name for it, if you think of this D note and you look at the black key as being below the D, it's called D flat. So basically sharp means to move up by a half step, flat means to move down by a half step. Another term related to those is natural. In other words, when you play C, you're playing C natural. You don't always have to say C natural. If you just say a letter name, it's understood that it means the natural. Now, another term that you'll hear sometimes is enharmonic. Basically, that just means that this can be C sharp, or it can be C flat, or it can be D flat. Those are enharmonic. In other words, there's two names for the same note. C sharp, D flat, it's the same. Now, when you're playing in the key of C, which has only white keys, and you're going to use a black key, it's what's called an accidental. So say you put a sharp or a flat on the music to get to one of those black keys, that's referred to as an accidental. Now if you look at it, you've got the whole picture. You've got all 12 tones. You've got the 7 white keys, the 5 black keys, those 12 tones, that's the pattern that's repeated all the way up and down the keyboard. And that's it.